Good evening to all of you. First of all, thank you very much for having me. It is my honor. Let me start with Mr. Frank Serio, who has forgotten more about politics than I will ever know. He's a great, great leader. We're lucky to have him. Frank Serio. Senator Roxanne Prasad, I worked with her for many years, and she is a superstar, and she represents you relentlessly and intelligently and tirelessly. I'm honored to be with her. Senator Prasad. Now, Kevin Parker, is he still here? No, you walked out. You're on your own now. No, you left. Kevin Parker and I go back many, many years. And Frank is right about Kevin. The more and better you know Kevin, the more you're going to respect the quality that he brings to the job, because he's something special. Senator Kevin Parker. And to Sue Ann Stauber and to all our friends, thank you so much. The TJ Club. TJ Club is legendary. I was traumatized by the TJ Club. I was young when I started in politics. That was my father's campaign aide, as you heard. And the whole question was, are we going to get the TJ Club or not? Because if you didn't get the TJ Club, you were in trouble. That's the way it was. I remember hearing about Meade Esposito. I remember when I met him the first time, I thought he was going to be about 7 foot tall. Meade Esposito, hearing everything. Turned out he was a short little Italian guy. But the TJ Club, the reputation precedes you, and you are still the prestigious Democratic club in New York. It's an honor to be here. I've had a rough couple of years, I'll be honest with you. The expression you hear a lot is, people say, well, if it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger. That's true. What they don't tell you is it hurts like heck in the meantime. And what's worse is it hurts people around you. It hurts your family, it hurts innocent people, your colleagues. So it's been a long couple of years. Nietzsche first said, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. It's also in the Bible. And I've prayed on it, Book of James, where the Book of James says, God will send you trials. And the trials will teach you resilience, and will teach you faith, and will teach you patience. Because the truth comes out in time. Always, always, always. So, going through that process, I learned a lot about myself, learned a lot about the people around me. You know, friends in politics. When the heat gets hot, you see how the friends in politics can change. But many of the people in this room are true friends and stuck with me, and I thank you very much. Now, life is not about yesterday, life is about tomorrow. So I want to have an honest conversation with you. Let me make a few points and then whatever questions you have on your mind. But I want to be honest, and I want to tell you the real truth, because I think we are in really difficult times. And I don't think it's going to get any better. And I don't believe ignoring a problem is ever the answer. This country is in the middle of a social crisis. That's what it is. It's a social crisis. The frustration, the anger, racism, anti-Semitism, up 30% year to year. A true situation of social alienation, which then leads to a political polarization. And you have the extreme right and you have the extreme left. Now, on the Republican side, they always had the extreme right. But it is stronger than ever before. That's why they're taking positions to the right. If they move any further right, they're going to fall off the edge of the planet, I swear. Their position on abortion is opposed by the majority of Republicans. But they have to be responsive to the far right. They oppose assault weapons. Majority of Republicans in this country support a ban on assault weapons, but they're afraid of the far right. They're afraid of the far right on election deniers. That's how powerful that pull is. Now, we have a far left on the Democratic side, and we've always had a far left on the Democratic side. You remember the NDC? We've always had great internal debates and struggles in the Democratic Party. Regulars and reformers. Meet Esposito, Clarence Norman had almost the same exact quote. Today's reformer is tomorrow's party hack, right? You have insurgents and then who become incumbents. So we've always had that back and forth. It's almost cyclical. Frank mentioned the mayoral race. Mayoral race that starts, my father's running against Ed Koch. My father, out-of-borough candidate, Italian, he was deemed the moderate. Ed Koch was a congressman from Greenwich Village, so he was the liberal. A few years later, it turns out, my father's the liberal. Koch is the moderate. I start off, I'm too liberal. One of the first things I go to pass is marriage equality. I don't know if you remember. It had just gone down. They had taken the vote, it had just gone down. And Democrats, a fair number of Democrats were against marriage equality. Because this is 4 years before the Supreme Court ruled. New York was the first big state to pass marriage equality. And we set the tone for the nation. Don't you ever forget it. This state led the way on marriage equality. But I go to pass marriage equality, and a lot of Democrats say, oh, this is a little too crazy for me. You're a little crazy like your old man. Catholic Church was against it. Catholic Church is going to condemn us if we pass marriage equality. And then we passed $15 minimum wage. The upstate Democrats were against it. The Long Island Democrats were against it. Then we codified Roe v. Wade, 2019. They say at the time, that's too liberal, that's unnecessary, we don't have to do that. I said, well, what if the Supreme Court ever changes and overrules Roe v. Wade? Then all we would have is state statute. They said, that's never going to happen. It will never happen. That's Roe v. Wade is settled law, stare decisis, it's never going to happen. We don't need to pass that, you're a crazy liberal. And if we pass that, we're going to get condemned by the Catholic Church. I said, what are you worried about? We're already condemned by the Catholic Church on marriage equality. Condemnation only works once. Once you're condemned, everything else from that point on is free. Then I turn out, now I'm too moderate. So this internal debate has always gone on in the Democratic Party. But, we have never lost touch with the people who we represent. We've never lost touch with the reality that we represent. That we represent the people out there on the street who are working every day, and that government is to make a difference. There's no theory here. There's no abstract government policy. You're either helping people or you are not helping people. My father, God rest his soul, called himself a progressive because liberal became a dirty word at one point. But he didn't like progressive because he said progressive doesn't mean anything. Teddy Roosevelt started progressive. He was a Republican. FDR, big progressive. So my father said it doesn't mean anything. I want to qualify it, and he called himself a pragmatic progressive. I said, nobody doesn't understand what that means, pragmatic progressive. Sounds nice, but doesn't mean anything. He said, no, it means everything.
Your father liked big words.
He did, right? And that was so good, pragmatic progressive. Pragmatic meaning we have to get things done for people. There's a practical aspect to this. Yes, Democrats are idealists, but we're also realists. Yes, we're dreamers, but we're also doers. Yes, we're poets, but we're also practical. And we understand that our people have to pay the rent every month. And our people have to walk out there on those streets. And the issues that matter to them matter to us, and we're here to get things done for them. That's what Pragmatic Progressive was. That was the core of the Democratic Party. That's what the TJ Club always represented. That was Major Owens, that was Stanley Fink, that was Tony Genovese, that's Frank Serio, that's Eric Adams, it's Hakeem Jeffries. Make government work for the people. That's our essence. That's why we're important, that's why we win, that's why we succeed, because we make a difference. Last election, we lost connection with that reality. Last election, we lost connection with that reality. You know how we call the Republicans election deniers? Democrats became crime deniers. What was the number one issue for people in the last election? Every poll said it: crime. I do a podcast. I went out on the street, I interviewed people. Everyone I talked to was the issue: crime, 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 crime. What did the Democratic Party say about crime? What crime? I don't see any crime. It's a Republican conspiracy crime. Why? Why? The victims of crime are our people. 70 to 80% black, brown, and poor. They are our people. Crime is not an issue for people in a Manhattan penthouse who have a doorman and a security guard and a driver. Our people are the victims of crime. Why? Defund the police. The dumbest 3 words ever uttered in political speech. Defund the police. Now, more education, better education, yes. Job training, yes. Alternatives to incarceration, yes. Second chance legislation, yes. But different police, more educated police, more racially sensitive police, different police with more social services. A mere fraction of the calls to 911 today require response of a person with a gun. So change the way we police, but you have to do something because people were suffering. And we just closed our eyes to the problem, and we paid for it. Hakeem Jeffries should be Speaker Hakeem Jeffries if we did what we needed to do with it. Now, I'm afraid we're doing it again. And I'm afraid we're doing it again with this migrant issue. And I think we're making mistake after mistake. Starts with the federal government. It's a pyramid. At the top is the federal government. And this was a federal responsibility, period, first and foremost. Not the state and not the city. Immigration law is a federal responsibility. How we get to a place where Governor Abbott of Texas is deciding where hundreds of thousands of migrants go around this nation is laughable. Who is Governor Abbott and Governor DeSantis to decide Chicago, you get 10,000, Los Angeles, you get 5,000? This is a function for the national federal government to manage and make every state, every city do its fair share. But it is a federal responsibility. And then pay the bill for the cost of the migrants, and don't ask the taxpayers of any city to pick up the bill. There was an expression we used to use with President Reagan, who was very good at saying the states and the cities should take care of that. The expression was, he passes the buck without passing the bucks, right? You're responsible, but he wouldn't provide any funding. Starts on the federal side. And then, where is the state of New York in this problem? Well, New York City is a sanctuary city. New York State is not a sanctuary state. Wrong. Wrong. New York State said it was a sanctuary state. The state assembly passed a bill saying New York State was a sanctuary state. But this has nothing to do with sanctuary. Sanctuary was during Trump when he was going to build the wall and the illegals, and the sanctuary concept was to a city who would help illegals. These people are here legally. This is not a question of sanctuary. They're here legally. Well, New York City has a consent decree, and the rest of the state doesn't have a consent decree. Do you know what they're talking about on that? There was a case, Callahan v. Carey. Reporter says to me the other day, well, you know, New York City has to take the migrants because they have the consent decree. Callahan v. Carey case. I said, really, who's Callahan, who's Carey? Oh, I think they were two homeless people. I said, really, two homeless people suing each other? For what? What did they think they were going to win? Carey was Governor Hugh L. Carey. The lawsuit was against the state of New York. Why? Because the state constitution, Article 17, says New York State and its subdivisions shall help the needy as determined by the legislature. New York City got sued for violating the state constitution, not the city constitution, the state constitution. And New York City, then Mayor Koch signed a consent decree and said, okay, settle the lawsuit with a consent decree. But that state constitution applies to every county in the state of New York, not just New York City. So we need state assistance here, and Mayor Adams is right. It is unsustainable for New York City to carry this burden. There is no legal, ethical, financial, practical way that you can ask New York City to do this. They don't have the financing, and then all these children are going to have to be educated. Then all these people are going to need health care and going to New York City hospitals. Who's going to pay this bill? And this is the migrant issue on top of the crime issue, on top of homelessness, on top of the other sanitary conditions in the city, on top of post-COVID, which means people now do remote work. They don't have to be here anymore. They can move to another state, lower taxes, don't have the joy of shoveling snow, and they can work remotely. So there is no way New York City should be shouldering this burden. Politically, this issue is going to hurt us badly. It's going to be the issue of crime from the last election, plus the issue of migrants this election. And it's going to hurt us. And when I say us, I mean us. Well, it's Mayor Adams. No, it's Joe Biden. No, it's the governor. No, it's Kevin Parker. The commonality is it's all Democrats. It's all Democrats. And I'll tell you what Donald Trump is going to say. You know what he's going to do in one line? 4 words. I told you so. I told you so. It is going to hurt politically. And forget the politics, from a humanitarian point of view, these are people who are sleeping on sidewalks, who have come here believing that there was a better future, traveled months through terrible conditions. They should be treated with human decency because that's who we are and what we believe. Last point is this. Well, then why aren't we doing something about the migrants? You know why? It's controversial. And you know what happens in politics? Nobody wants to go near the controversial issue. You're in politics, you're in the business of making friends, not enemies. Well, it's whatever I do, I'm going to get in trouble. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do nothing. Because nothing is the easiest thing to do. Wrong. Wrong, and this is where I came from, a totally different school. Denial is not a life strategy. If you do nothing about this problem, it is going to get worse and worse and worse. So turning your back or pointing fingers or saying it's his problem or her problem or someone else's problem, it's only going to increase. This migrant flow is not going to stop. And they're not going anywhere else. So we have to step up and address it. Well, it's hard. I have news for you. It's all hard. It's all hard. You want to make a difference, you want to make a change, you want to be in government, you want to be in politics. There is nothing meaningful that is not hard. You want to build Shirley Chisholm State Park, largest state park in the state? It's hard. You have to get that federal government to move. You want to build a new Kosciuszko Bridge? I couldn't even pronounce the word. You want me to build a new bridge. You want to build a new LaGuardia airport? How do you do that? How do you build a new Kennedy airport? How do you build a 2nd Avenue subway? How do you do these things? They're hard. How do you pass a budget 10 years in a row on time? It's hard. It's all hard. But that's who we are as Democrats. And that's why you're here tonight. And that's why they represent you. Because we're here to take on the problems and solve them. And yes, it's hard. But that's who we are. These are tough problems and we're there to solve them. And it's what makes us Democrats, and it is what makes us New Yorkers. And Frank is right. We took on COVID, and it was hard. And it was hard every day. And it was frightening. And it was scary. But you know what? Every morning, the bus drivers got up and they went out and they drove that bus. And the firefighters got up and they went out and they went to the station house. And the store owner got up and went to the store. And the delivery men got up and the delivery woman got up and they did their job. Because that's New York. That's who we are. That's our DNA. Yeah, it's tough. But we're going to do it. And we're going to face the problem honestly. We are not going to duck and cover. We are going to rise and resolve. We don't run from our problems. We fix our problems. That's who we are. That's who the TJ Club is. That's who you have always been. And that's who you have to remind this Democratic Party right now what it means to be a Democrat and what it means to make life better for people. Thank you and God bless you.